welcome to today's chapel. Before Mr. Skeba comes up and speaks, I would like to read a quick psalm that's been on my mind that kind of deals with the idea of hope. Psalm 63 says, "You, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being longs for you. In a dry and parched land where there is no water, I have seen you in the sanctuary, and behold your power and your glory. Because your love is better than life, my lips will glorify you. I will praise you as long as I live, and in your name I will lift up my hands. I will be fully satisfied as with the richest of foods. With singing lips my mouth will praise you. On my bed I remember you. I think of you through the watches of the night. Because you are my help, I sing in the shadow of your wings. I cling to you. Your right hand upholds me. Those who want to kill me will be destroyed. They will go down to the depths of the earth. They will be given over the sword and become food for jackals. But the king will rejoice in God. All who swear by God will glory in him, while the mouths of liars will be silenced." I just love this psalm because it speaks to how to look to God in times where you might be feeling down or you're in a rough point in your faith. And I think that it really deals with the idea of hope and looking to God and that he's always there with you in the dark times. So please give a warm welcome to Mr. Skeba.
Evan, do you have a job? No. I would pay you, not a lot, a pittance to come and announce every time I walk into a room. So if you're interested. Yeah. Welcome. I'm Mr. Skeba. I teach here English. So let's just get into it. Hope. Let's just jump in. Hope. I want to talk to you about hope, or as I call it, a profile in courage. So hope was born. Hope was born. I want to say that she was born, I didn't know this, I thought it was a timeless concept. She was born July 30th, 1981. She was on the US WNT in the years 2000 to 2016. She's a two-time gold medalist. In addition to this, she's been on Dancing with the Stars. And she additionally serves as a spokeswoman for Seiko, Ubisoft, EA, Gatorade, and BlackBerry. I'm realizing now I may have taken the wrong message out of this. So here's the real thing. Hope is healing. Wow, we're right out the gate, aren't we? Hope is healing. Or subtitle, Stuff About Socrates, Pandora's Box, Eden, Star Wars, Healing, Wounds, Blessings, Bad Eyesight, Paradox, The Great Blue Heron, Fish, Leonard Cohen, Dark Places, Wounded Animals, Spiritual Shower Thoughts, 3 Actions to Take, 1 Inaction to Take, and finally a poem about breathing. So buckle up, I suppose. If, as you look at that subtitle, I feel as an aside I must mention, all my life I've been wondering if the ADD I was diagnosed with was in fact a real thing. And as I was looking at this last night, those of you who are similar brain patterns might recognize that this is what the inside of your head almost looks like, right? Except you put it in a blender and you turn on and all those words start getting switched around. So here we go. Hope. Hope is healing. With hope, there's hard truths galore. With hope, there are hard truths galore. I'm going to give you 3 today. I'll give you 3 platitudes. A platitude are words that when things are going well, they mean so much. But the problem with the platitude when things are not going well is that they seem like mere Band-Aids. So I'll give you some platitudes for when things are going well. And then finally, I'd like to give you 3 actions that you can take. Someone the other day was telling me, I feel like we talk about hope a lot, but I don't know how to get there. Congratulations, you're human. So we'll go 3 actions that might cultivate hope. Are you ready? Bennett, you're good. Cool. The first hard truth about hope is not this. In order to do this first, hope is healing is my claim. I want to look at the definitions of hope that we use all the time that we're actually not going to approach today. The first is this, according to Google: hope is a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. I hope I get into X. I hope that someone thinks of me like whatever it is. That's definition one, and it does have its place. Definitions are merely imperfect ways of describing these huge, big things that exist beyond words. The second definition of hope, one that I like and I feel is getting a little closer to the point, it's archaic, meaning it's not used in this manner a ton anymore. And hope is defined as a feeling of trust. That's getting there. That's getting there. The one that I want to drill into today, and please know that we are painting with broad brushstrokes. The danger of doing this is that when you paint with a broad brushstroke, you miss the detail, you miss the pores, you miss all the fine little colors in between. So please know that we are painting with a broad brush. But the broad brush we are painting with today is this idea that hope is healing. The first hard truth about hope is that no chaos, no hope. No chaos, no hope. In order to tap into this, I teach in the humanities. I want to start in Greek myth with a lady named Pandora. The Pandora myth bears a lot of really cool connections to what happens in Eden. It's not a perfect, it's not going to line up perfectly all the time, but it's got some cool connections. So if you're inclined, you can run those through your head a little bit. Pandora is the first woman on Earth. She's created by Prometheus. Prometheus is a titan, and Prometheus gets in trouble because he loves humans so much that he decides we need to steal fire so these humans can live and continue to go. So he steals fire, which Zeus, the head supreme god of the Greek god pantheon, is upset by this. And when Prometheus steals fire, he starts to devise a ploy. And the ploy is this: he looks at Pandora, who is described as beautiful, talented, eloquent, full of wisdom, not only wisdom, but curiosity. The two go together. Beauty, kindness, peace, generosity, health. This is Pandora. Pandora is getting married, and Zeus, still a little miffed from his thing with Prometheus, says, I got something for you. Worst wedding gift ever. Into a box, which is the wedding gift he gives to Pandora. Unbeknownst to her, he gives her a box and he says, you can't open it. I'm going to give you this beautiful, ornate box, but you can't open it. Which, if you're a curious person, which I would posit all of us are, it's in our nature. That seems like an impossible task. If you doubt it, go to Andy's Ice Cream, buy something, put it in front of you, and just look at it for as long as you can. Inside this box, Zeus has put everything imaginable that is going to strike horror into men's hearts: disease, pestilence. So here's the list of things, these terrible things that Zeus has put in the box. You got greed. You got the spirits of greed, envy, hatred, pain, disease, hunger, poverty, war, pestilence, famine, death, mudslides, landslides, wildfires, earthquakes, that shopping cart with the squeaky wheel, reduced fat ice cream, wedgies, someone who talks to you the first 15 minutes of sitting next to them on the airplane. We all know where that is going. The ACT, the PSAT, the MNSQT, the TOEFL, the MCAT, the LSAT, the GRE. Additionally, the people who enjoy working for the SAT, the ACT, the PSAT, the NMSQT, the TOEFL, the MCAT, the LSAT, the GRE. Potato chip bags that are always 83 to 17 parts air to actual chip. Trap music, the Real Housewives of LA, Miami, New York, DeKalb, Manuka, Ken Ellis's tests, Post Malone's face tattoos, and sitting through Thornton Wilder's Our Town. All of this is put in the box given to Pandora After her wedding, Pandora eventually opens the box, and out come flying all of these terrible spirits that are loosed unto the world. And as if she sees it happening, she runs over to the box. You see it in the picture there, and she tries to kneel on it to trap everything but everything gets out. With the exception of one thing. Everything is loosed to run amok in the world except for one thing. At the bottom of Pandora's box, which seems empty at the first time, she looks in, and it's this black abyss, and there's nothing in it. Despite it appearing dark, she doesn't trust her eyes, and she sticks her hands in it, and she notices one spirit that did not escape, and that is the spirit of hope, or in some translations, the spirit of healing. If you don't believe me that this is true, that chaos and hope have this weird relationship, consider Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Who's seen it? Beautiful. It's called A New Hope. That's the subtitle. In A New Hope, before you even get a glimmer of hope at the end, the following has happened. A senator has been kidnapped. Sand people steal some mechs. There's a broken home. The farm is burned. An aunt and uncle die. Alderaan is destroyed. It's actually a planet-side. People spend some time in a trash compactor. Dudes get choked out. A mentor is killed. A mentee kills their mentor. All said and done, with the destruction of the Death Star and the destruction of Alderaan, there are 2 billion, 1.3 million, and 63 deaths that are shown on stage or on screen before we even get to a glimmer of hope. Of these, 2 billion are in Alderaan. 2 are Luke's relatives. 10 TIE fighter pilots. 11 Imperials. 1 Rodian. 1 Jedi, 18 rebels, and 20 stormtroopers. Additionally, the 1.2 people working on the Death Star, ranging from the decision makers to the ones who have to earn a buck. This leads us, this is why you should not have given me this power here, Rachel. There it is. Oh my gosh. There it is. Hope. Let me give you your first platitude. It is this. When it's dark, open your eyes. When the box you're looking in, and the box is life, looks extremely dark, open your eyes and reach out with your hands. Again, if you are in the middle of a time where you think you are hopeless right now, this is going to be a Band-Aid. It's going to be a Band-Aid, but when you get through it, it'll make a little more sense. If you're in the middle of it right now, one foot in front of the other. How do you eat a mountain? One rock at a time. I like that one. Hard truth number 2. Hard truth number 2 is this: the wound, where you are wounded, is actually the route or the route to blessing. Where you are wounded, where you are inadequate, where you are shattered, where you are whatever, this is the route to healing. I get this idea, or I don't get this idea. It's from a paradox of perfection presented by the Apostle Paul in Ephesians 12, 7 through 9. Let me read it to you. To keep me from being conceited, this is Paul writing, because of these surpassingly great revelations or awesome wisdom nuggets I'm getting and leaps forward in my relationship. There was given me a thorn in my flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient to you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses so that Christ's power may rest on me. What does this mean? Because it seems to make absolutely no sense. Paradox do, usually. You are perfect in your weakness. You are perfect in your weakness. I don't think we believe this one all the time. Here's why this works. In the words of Paul throughout the writings, Paul stresses this idea that if I was perfect, then why did Christ die? If I was perfect, why do I need someone to show me something better? And that leads to this principle. A perfect patient does not need a doctor. A perfect patient doesn't need a doctor. And you could argue and take it a step further that if you were perfect, you would not need a single person in this room. Take that with a grain of salt. That which makes you weak, or for this illustration, imperfect, illuminates the path towards perfection. Embrace your imperfect perfection. That is the point of a sacrifice. Love will slay you, love will play you, and I mean play you in the sense of a beautiful instrument. Your heart will be broken, and you will play beautiful music. There's a poet, writer by the name of Leonard Cohen, and in this song, Anthem, he says, there's a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in. And I'd like to think, by extension, that's why our hearts get broken sometimes. Yeah? Please note, a lot of people think that the writings of Paul, people smarter than myself, they think he's talking about this thorn in the flesh is actually poor eyesight. And I like to go with this one. There's a bunch of different ways to read it, and all are really valid. There's a lot of people who think, based on what he said here, based on what he said in other places, Paul had poor eyesight, whether because of malaria, glaucoma, whatever it was. I'd like you to note that on the road, when Paul, former murderer, has this watershed moment where he goes away and Christ comes in, it happens through eyes, and it's so intense that it blinds him. Please note, the root of his blessing comes in through the eyes. And please also note that the root of his possible pain is in the eyes as well. I got really weird during the first part of the pandemic. If you were on my online classes, you might have noticed this. And I got into it's called birding, if you're really cool. If you don't know what birding is, you could just say bird watching. By my house, there's a little lake I like to go to because it's private. And there's a beautiful nest near it full of herons, at least in the warmer parts of the year. And I zoned out sitting by this little pond, actually, and I zoned out, and I watched this heron for no joke 45 minutes. It was in this position. It didn't move. I couldn't even tell if it was blinking. About 45 minutes to an hour in, before I can even register what's happening, the heron has shot its beak into the water and pulled out a fish. In that moment, I thought, oh, God's a fisherman, yeah? Which brings us to platitude number 2. By the way, God is the heron and we are the fish. God's a fisherman. What did I write? And fishermen use hooks. God's a fisherman and fishermen use hooks. The fact that you have pain in your life does not mean that you are wrong. It does not mean that you are cursed. It means that you are a work in progress and you are on your way to blessing, perfection, peace, love. Where you're broken, where you're cracked, that's where the light gets in. Yeah? Are you with me? Cool. The third hard truth that I will put before you today. Need that one. Is this, and I think a lot of us will resonate with it. Hard truth number 3, hope is messy, forgettable business. Hope is messy, forgettable business. In the Old Testament, the prophet Elijah, who has the coolest leaving of this earth ever, there's a whirlwind and he goes away in a whirlwind, which if anyone's ever going to go that way, it would have been Elijah. In the Old Testament, Elijah gets in a showdown with the prophets of Baal. I believe I'm saying that right. Baal or Baal, B-A-L. And it's the old question of whose God is stronger than the other God. And they come up with a contest, and the contest is this: we're going to build altars. And you're going to go first, prophets of Baal, and there's a lot of them, strength in numbers, right? And the goal is this: who can call fire down upon this altar and materialize it out of nothing? And so they start doing their thing. And we won't get too into it, but there's a lot of weird, seemingly weird, when we look at it, ways in which it makes sense in the older world, maybe, in how they try to call this fire down. And it doesn't happen after hours and hours and hours and hours. And Elijah, in perhaps what is the greatest goat move of all time, walks up to, he's a showman, he walks up to the fire, the altar, and he pours it and he soaks it in water. And lo and behold, no surprise, the thing bursts into flames. He sees the power, he sees the glory, he sees miracles, he sees what can happen when you hope a little bit. He should be on a spiritual high the rest of his life. Preceding this scene, the powers that be want to kill him. And Elijah, having seen that he doesn't need to fight his battles, he just needs to call the right name, he flees and he ends up in a cave, scared to death. He ends up in a cave, scared to death and depressed, having just seen this awesome thing. He's already forgotten. The Lord comes to him and says, get out of the cave. I'm paraphrasing. He could have said it like that. Get out of the cave. Elijah gets out of the cave. Hard truth number 3 is that hope is messy, forgettable business. I was talking with a dear friend the other day, and they have just been getting shelled by life. They've lost loved ones, they've lost beloved pets, and they've found themselves saddled with responsibilities that no one at any age should be saddled with. This person might not need a platitude, they might need one foot in the other, but when they get out of that, they will see, oh, I am failing here. That's all right. Remember, perfect imperfection. Well, there was a platitude, and the platitude is this. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. The next thing is this. Sorry, I lost it. I want to give you 3 ways of potentially actions of cultivating hope. Action number 1 is love. Practice love, practice love, practice love. If God seems too far away to love, or you feel like you've been disconnected too long, practice, 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 practice. Up here is my girlfriend's here today. Hello, welcome, Sarah. I'm about to show you the love of my life. We've talked about this. This dog is Riley, and he has taught me more about love, and he has brought out love in others in ways I've never known. When I was hopeless, this dog was there, still here. I found him in Texas. He came in off the streets. I was in college, the second senior year, and he just wandered into my apartment. I left the door open, as one does. And I wasn't allowed to keep a dog, so I called my parents and I said, I'm keeping him. And my parents, in perhaps the greatest example of love I've ever seen, drove down 15 hours straight to Texas. My dad was flying out to Europe the next day, and my mom went with him, and they picked up this dog. And true to form, here's the thing: if you ever get a dog and you're not ready for it, you quickly lose custody. It's their dog now, right? But love reflects love, and in practicing loving, you see that love is a mirror. Practice love. Here's the shower thought that goes along with it. Uh-oh, we're doing this again. Whatever it is that you do when you forget you're doing it, that can be considered worship, right? When you feel like you're not getting it through the traditional means, go for a walk. Do that which you love. Play music. Practice love. And if it seems too hard to shoot up there, shoot to what's in front of you, because eventually it gets there. Cultivating hope, action number 2, be where you are. Be where you are and be honest about where you are. Whether or not you feel like you have hope or you feel like you are hopeless, it doesn't matter. It's there. Huh? Consider this, be where you are. When an animal is hurt, it will often retreat to the darkness of its den and curl up in the fetal position. So remember, it's okay to be where you are. In truth, you couldn't be anywhere else, so be here. It's where you're supposed to be. Be honest about where you're at. Action number 3 is this. Notice the everyday, stupidly simple miracles. I've been going through a process of healing an injury that old men get, or older men get. Back thing. And I've always wanted the flash and bang. I wake up the next day and this thing is gone. It's been 2 years. It's getting better. But what I learned through this is you gotta look for the stupid everyday miracles because we're always forgetting what hope does. Consider this. You can't, comedy of errors. You can't rush your healing. Sometimes the wound takes a long time to leave. Watching a wound heal is a daily lesson in miracles too obvious to see. Cut your finger, it's a miracle that thing knits back together. It's a miracle you plant a seed, a tree pops out. It's a miracle you take something that looks like nothing into your lungs and you are able to keep going. Which brings us to the final point. It's an inaction. When you forget, and you will forget, I want you to breathe. Take a breath. Take a breath, and here's why. I see Maggie just going like this. I'm there with you. The average human breathes 16 times a minute. That's 960 breaths an hour, 23,040 breaths a day, 8,409,600 breaths a year. At 35-ish years old, I've taken approximately 294,336,001 breaths in my lifetime. Correction, 294,336,001 breaths in my lifetime. There's a story that comes from the Talmud and the Midrash, which are cultural masterpieces of Judaism. And it's about the origin of the name of God, Yahweh. You see it spelled in a tetragrammaton often, YHWH, I think. And the story goes like this. The story says that the name of God, Yahweh, is to the ear, really, really close, if not the same sound of a breath in and a breath out. The inhale is the Yah, so the inhale is a, and the exhale is a way, right? Go with me here. So consider this, when you forget, when you feel far, and when you feel cursed and you feel hopeless and you feel anything, right? Remember this. The breath in your lungs, and indeed the very air that is exhaled by a living creature, is an involuntary utterance of the name that made the heavens above and within, the earth below and without, and even what the whole thing is built upon. So when you're afraid you've forgotten the name of God, when you're afraid you've lost hope, when you're afraid, just take a breath. Thank you for your time. I hope you find hope today. God, what can we say? Wow and thanks. Have a good day. Amen.